All right, little update on the corn here. Coming along pretty good. Boy, we've had a few wet days here, and it's jumping in the rain. I got to put some nitrogen out on it. I was hoping to run the Farmall back through here one more time this week and put a little ammonium nitrate down, but I hadn't been able to. It's a little too wet right now, so had some people asking about the corn and the Farmall. I was going to make another video of it, but I'm going to have to wait a few days till it dries out some. But corn's up and jumping, looking pretty good. I planted this with a little cold planter on the Farmall. I had folks asking about it, and it was, I think I got about 34 to 36 inch wide on the row width. And I used the old plate, that cold planter. It had only had one corn plate that I thought I would try. I thought it was a little bit wide on the spacing, about 13-inch spacing is what the book said, and it probably would be better if it was a little bit closer, but I drug that old planter out of the woods and been working on it, so it worked really good. I'm satisfied with it. I may pick up another plate to tighten up the spacing a little bit before I plant corn again. I used it on the beans and peas, butter beans, and it done really good on those. I got some plates for those where I could tighten up the spacing, and got a few choices with the spacing gear, so it worked good on those. The corn was the only thing that was a little wide, but got a pretty decent stand. A little bit smaller in this corner here. I don't know if I didn't get the fertilizer on them there toward the end, or if it's the shade coming off of this big oak tree possibly in this corner. It gets a little late afternoon shade right on this corner, so not sure. But other than that, you know, the crows got a few spots up there when it sprouted, but I think we're definitely going to make some good corn. It's like I say, we had a few days of rain, so we'll take that while we can get it, because it won't be long and the rain will be gone. Here it'll get hot and dry in this part of Georgia. So scattered showers every day here for the next few days, so I'm happy with that. I'll get in here with the cultivator and the fertilizer when it gets a little bit drier, and I'll do a video on that side dresser when I run it with the Farmall. I'll give you a little shot of the beans and peas down here too. All right, here's the green beans, butter beans, purple hull peas, turkey toe peas. These was all planted April 19th, I think. So maybe 15 days now. They're looking really good. Planted all these with that cold planter that I was working on. So first time planting on any of this stuff with that cold planter, so I'm really happy with it. The little turkey toes here on the end we did by hand. I didn't have very many of those. Kind of experimenting with them, but everything else was planted with the cold planter. So that's 3 rows of purple hulls. And I was using the closest setting I had on those. I think it said 3 inches, but I got spacing gears to spread them out. I'm gonna see how it does. I might could spread those out just a little bit next time. Got a good solid stand. Butter beans, got 3 rows of them. I think it was 4-inch spacing on those. Like I say, I got change gears, spacing gears that I can go further apart if I want to. So any questions, comments you got, put them on the video. I had a few folks asking about the spacing on these things. I think I did 36 inches on these. That Farmall, is the tire width on it is, I'd have to measure it. It may be about 38, but pretty much if I just, you know, follow my tire tracks, when I run with the planter, I just come back on the next row following the tire tracks, and it falls out about 36 inches. So I'd have to put the tape measure on one of these, but I think that's pretty close. What it's going to be is around 36 inches. So that Farmall, really, that little 140 makes it nice and easy to get good, nicely evenly spaced rows, and coming back cultivating them, you know, it fits right in there, works really good. So any ideas or comments on that, just post them on there. Thank you. These are green beans. Same deal on those. A couple of those are still sprouting. this last little rain shower. I see a few new ones popping out, but it pretty much got a 100% stand on all of them, so I was real excited about that. They looking good. Tomatoes coming along. Got blooms on all of them now. Got some little squash growing down here. They are really jumping in the last week. Let's see. Oh yeah, got some little squash there. Got blooms coming on. They looking real good. They love the little shade of this tree, especially when it gets hot summertime. They just seem to thrive up here. So, I'll show you the potatoes too. They're right down there. Hold on. So this is the old planter here. It's a MX, 12 MX. This was one of the first versions of the 12 MX I think that they made. I don't know how long ago my uncle acquired this thing, but it's got the floating foot, spring-loaded foot there on the front, you can see. You have to excuse my mess in here. As usual, I got about 100 different projects going at the same time, but so my uncle had two of these things that he had quit using and parked in the woods for many years ago. They were in pretty rough shape and rusting out. I had this one, and he had an older model 12, which had the fixed foot on the front. So between the two of them, I've been trying to round up enough parts to make one that would work. So started working on these a few weeks ago. This is what I planted all the garden with here this spring. So I got the front, the seed hopper and everything was functioning good, and the fertilizer hopper I didn't use. So that was going to be the second stage. If I could get the planter working, was to come back in the second stage and try to get the fertilizer hopper on. So that's where I'm at now, is working on the fertilizer hopper. And I got, like I say, I'm robbing parts off of both to try to make one work. This little gearbox assembly here, this was what was originally on the newer one, this MX here. But the shaft for the shaft here that drives the fertilizer hopper, it's locked up, and there was supposed to be a gear here that was broken off. I don't know, at some point it probably locked up and the gear was broken off, and so the fertilizer section was not functioning on this newer MX. The hopper was pretty bad shape, completely rusted out. The wheels, the press wheels here, were locked up on this one originally. So first thing I did was took the press wheels off. It took a while to get those loose, and then this one, these are the press wheels off of the older model 12. So the axle on, they both interchanged, pretty similar, but the axle was a little different on the newer model. You can see this one's got like a set screw type locking mechanism, where originally this MX had a roll pin through the axle. Like I say, that one was so rusty, the axle, I would have had to make a new axle, and rather than do that, the press wheel and axle on the older Model 12 was in really nice shape. So that's what's on here now, is a press wheel and axle off of the older model. And I put that on, and that's pretty much all I did. I had to work on the spacing gear here. Some of that had to get freed up and clean out the hopper. I had to put a new, the little pan there. I don't know if you can see it. I'll do a better video when I put this on the tractor next week and do some more planting. But the seed hopper and everything was working good. I did all of spring planting with it, and I was really satisfied. It worked really good. Like I say, now I'm back in here. I tore it back apart to try and get the fertilizer working. I wasn't so interested in the fertilizer because I got a side dresser that goes on the Farmall, and I'm not sure I would even use the fertilizer hopper, but my cousin may want to use this thing. And this little mount I put on the front that bolts onto the Farmall there, I've got it fixed where I can take 4 bolts out and and then just go back to a 3-point hitch setup. So I could just, with 4 bolts, I could swap it back to a 3-point hitch and let him use it if he wanted to. So that was kind of the thinking. And he would want the fertilizer hopper on it. So I wound up taking this little transmission assembly here off of there. That's what was on there originally. I took it off and just decided not to even use it, because I'm using the fertilizer hopper here off of the old Model 12. It's in pretty decent shape, but it's a little wider than the newer ones. And you see the brackets here where it bolts on. Well, maybe you can see it here better. These are a little wider than what would have been on this MX originally. So this whole transmission assembly and all the brackets and all came off the old Model 12, and it bolted right on, you know. So I just swapped the whole assembly out. And since this one, the shaft was locked up and the gear was busted off, and it looked like, and since I'm using this hopper anyway, this hopper wouldn't have fit on here without changing the bracket. So it looked easier just to swap the whole thing. So that's what I did. So all of that is on here now, and it's all working good and functioning. So at this point, I just need to mount the fertilizer hopper on it, and I'll be through with that. So swapped out the little mud dragger there. It's a little different. So this is what would have been on this newer MX originally, was this one versus this one that was on the old Model 12. So I kind of liked it. You know, it makes a little more noise when the wheel's spinning, and you can hear the wheel spinning. So that's what I liked about this one. It kind of rings like a bell. So I left it on there. Other than that, a lot of this stuff interchanges. Like I say, the hopper is in pretty decent shape. Some parts better than others. The bucket itself, not too bad. So the the little ring, I stole it off of one. It came off of that one originally, so it's in pretty good shape. I can get it put back together. I got the little drum. I don't remember. I think this was off of the old model one. Put a little weld on it to stick the boat back, but I couldn't get the boat was spinning. I couldn't get it, so welded it on. I'll have to sandblast that and paint it up. There was a little adjuster here that came through, you know, to lock down your ring, and I don't have that part. It was completely gone on both of them, so I guess I'm gonna have to make this little piece here. It would have bolted onto this ring to, you know, to turn it. So that's the only part I'm missing. So other than making that, I just got to take this old stuff out of here, get the new ring and all put on, and clean it up, paint it, and then it's ready to go on to here. So maybe I'll get that done pretty soon. The little brackets I got on the front, you see those two, little section I put on the front here so I can take it on and off with just 2 bolts. I may change those over to pins where I don't have to fool with the bolt, but I was really satisfied with the way it worked on the Farmall. Here's the little brackets that I made, if you can see them. It's got 2 bolts in them, and you know, that part I just leave on the tractor all the time. There's one on the left side, looks just like it. So, and then I just roll the planter under here and drop the 2 bolts through the hole. Like I say, I might just put a pin there where I can drop it over it. But it's kind of tucked under the tractor. That's what I like. The front of the planter is actually up in front of the back tires. So it's tucked in nice and tight on the wheels, and it seemed to follow the ground really good. I just got 2 chains on it to lift. You see a couple of hitch pins, a couple of chains on there that just stick into the hole on the end of the lift arms there. And it lifts it, like I say, it's tucked under there tight, but the seed hopper actually comes right up maybe about 1 inch away from the bar, so you get plenty of lift height on it. Works really well. Only other thing I was doing was the opener disc for the fertilizer. I'm piddling on that right now as well. So this disc is off of the old Model 12, and this piece goes with it here. And it was a little different on the old one than the new one. So here's the one that was actually on the MX. And the opener disc was completely gone, so I was gonna have to do something for an opener disc, and the one on the older model was in fairly decent shape. I think I can clean this stuff up here and work, but you can see the old one was slotted and adjustable where the new one wasn't. And I really liked that because it seemed like It seemed like the newer one would sit pretty low, and I didn't know how much I would even use the fertilizer hopper. So I like the idea of being able to put this one on. And you know, if you can raise it up high. If you're not even using it, you can almost get it up out of the way, and you got adjustment to let it down so you can get the depth that you want. And I've got everything here to make it work. So I decided to change it over to the old Model 12 opener disc. And all I had to do for that was just drill a hole and mount this little plate on. So I've already done that. I'm ready to sandblast that stuff and paint it and stick it on there, and I'll have an adjustable opener disc. And the tube, this is the tube off of the old Model 12, and it's in pretty decent shape. I think I can make it work fine. I have to get that mounted on there. That would drop the fertilizer right down behind the opener disc. So coming together. I get it. I got to do some more planting next week as soon as the ground gets dry. So when I hook this thing back up, I had some people asking about the planter and the hookup. So I'll hook it back up and do a little video of me planting with it. All right, got the Irish potatoes here. They looking real good. I came through those with the little hillers on the Farmall and throwed a little dirt to them. I might could do it one more time. I don't know, I probably won't. Those are, I think these two outside rows, you can see the middle row a little bit smaller. The two outside rows were some Yukon Golds I bought. That's like a white Irish potato. And then that middle row was some red potatoes that I had left over from last year that I planted. So a little smaller potato, and the vines are smaller, but they all looking real good. Got a couple of blooms on that back row there that's popped out. Maybe we'll get to dig a few potatoes this year.